You're not going to be able to play your Morphling. We're going to make you a little bit more scared to play the Stratocaster. We've seen AAs sort of keep on dissuading the power play safe lane carries where you want to get a Satanic, you want to get big and beefy, but you get AA blasted up, you lose 400 HP right off the bat, and then you don't have that sort of bottom HP pool to work with, and you feel so much weaker. Infamous, I'm a little bit worried with the opening that this AA puck sort of spells out for them for the rest of the draft.
Yeah, it really feels like Undying, with just their first two picks, have sort of backed Infamous, maybe not entirely into a corner, but they're sort of maybe nudging them in that direction, especially with that puck in the hands of Bryle. We talk about sort of KXY being one of those sort of high skill mid players. Bryle is going to be just as much, if not maybe even more capable, but we do see Infamous going for that play that you were sort of suggesting the Lion will come out for them. So that's going to give them maybe still not a guaranteed amount of lockdown onto the puck. Really, there is no such thing, but you're going to be able to play so much better up against it, maybe try and mitigate some of the mobility and damage coming out there. So that was probably one of, if not the best heroes they could have tried to get in this situation to deal with it. Meanwhile, on the Undying side of things, they go in for the Lina pickup here. So with the puck already in the lineup, that feels a little bit weird. I think the Lina in that situation would have to be shifted to the 4, and we've talked about the 4 Lina before. It doesn't really always seem to get that sort of consistent contribution that you need, but maybe in the hands of Undying, they're going to be able to get it done here.
And it's really just because I think they have that puck in the mid lane. They need sort of that supplemental damage to finish off these kills. And again, if you do get that cooldown, it's very simple for Alina to TP to that lane, throw the slave down, throw the LSA, and usually a hero is just going to die to that. So it's just more supplemental damage, makes it a little bit harder. And Infamous are kind of leaning into it with this Bloodseeker pick. Bloodseeker versus Lina is not a very fun lane. Of course, if this Drowcopter is able to get on that Lina, we don't have that Snapfire counter anymore, so that missile should connect. But it's almost like a soft counter where if that missile starts in the tree line, I think it will more or less hit, most likely. But if you just sort of throw it out in the lane, Lena's definitely going to be able to focus it down. And again, if you're using that missile on her, she's not really going to care. And this is what I was worried about. You show your lane a little bit too early because you kind of have to. You don't pick up a mid lane hero for KXY, meaning now Saberlight gets exactly what he wants in the matchup. And previous game, previous lane, I think Parker was able to sort of walk away with it. Doom, once he hits level 6, you kind of see the Bloodseeker rotate out. There's never really a play to be made there. But now, I don't even know how Parker's going to walk up to these waves. You're going to have the Gush. You're going to have that LSA. Once you get those Fiery Soul stacks, that lane is going to get really hard. And Tidehunter, a hero that doesn't care about the missile at all. He's always going to be able to crack and shell it off. It's pretty much guaranteed damage to proc it. So they're going to have to play up entirely on Moon Meander at that point. So if they're not killing this Lina off cooldown, keep in mind, we have seen Lena's killed off cooldown. That hero has not proven itself, at least to us, just yet here. But this should, on paper, be a really rough Bloodseeker lane.
And even on top of that, it has maybe faded back a little bit here as the Tidehunter sort of dropped off in popularity. But this Tide Puck duo, not in lane, but just sort of in the same general lineup, was kind of all the rage really earlier on in sort of the previous patch. Back a couple of months ago, these two heroes together give you just an insane amount of sort of team fight control, and that is exactly what Undying want. You've got the Ancient Apparition there for sort of an easy follow-up. The Lena's going to be able to hit your LSAs off the back of a Dream Coil or a Ravage, and now, now the Spectre for Undying, another hero that hasn't really been seeing a crazy amount of attention, but that's what Undying want. They're going to have a hero now for Tomato who can sit back, farm up. If a team fight breaks out, sure, haunt in. Otherwise, he's just going to be all in on farming, and Infamous are going to be hard-pressed to apply that pressure.
And the Puck Spectre, this just means that every single team fight, the Spectre is going to be able to haunt, be able to find that line, give that Puck that confidence. And we talk about Puck Lion a lot because that matchup really happens quite often, because very few times do you really want to spend that ban on the Lion hero. But if the Puck has the knowledge to sort of reinitiate, get that jump anyway, if you know exactly where this Puck, or rather where the Lion is playing, if you are in the coil, if you are in that Waning Rift, Michael is just going to die. You are going to die in that Waning Rift silence, and there isn't much you can do about it. I like that they do pick up the Viper. This is a picture-perfect Viper game. The only hero, or the only issue, is you couldn't put it mid, because Puck versus Viper, it's one of the saddest matchups. You always miss out on one of your poison attacks for free. You just don't have enough mana to really get that lane going. And you are laning Viper versus Spectre, so it is going to go in, I think, Mariano's favor, but the issue is if they ever fall behind, if he ever gives up too many kills, if Moon Meander's rotations are on point, we see the Lina picked up so often versus this Viper because, again, he is immobile. He is a hero that once you are kind of in, you are in. You're stuck. You need to fight really for your life. You need to tank up. You need to try and stay as long as you can in those fights. And if you die, I think that this Puck Lina might just be a little bit too good. And I know Infamous, with their last pick, Mariano Heroes, this is the second time they're last picking their offlaner here. And I like that they are flexing KXY over to that mid-Mars, something that we saw them do a lot earlier on in the tournament, but really fell off pretty hard. I just don't know. I feel like if Undying are able to get the farm they need, get the fights going, their team fight is just so incredibly strong.
Yeah, it seems like there's no way right now, unless something amazing happens, no way for Infamous to stop Undying from getting what they want eventually, right? Maybe they can slow it down. Maybe that Mariano Viper is going to be able to apply some pressure to the Spectre, but there's really not going to be enough. Mariano's not going to be able to completely shut the Spectre down. At a certain point, you're just going to start sort of rotating her into the jungle. The Tidehunter is going to find his levels. He's going to hit that 6, and to a certain extent, we'll see the same thing for Bryle on that Puck. So I don't know. That's not a reason not to try and apply that pressure. You want to try and slow it down as much as possible, but it feels like no matter what, Undying are going to get the game plan that they want to work for them, and Infamous will need a way to not prevent it, but try to respond to it instead.
Yeah, precisely. And if they're not able to do that, if Michael isn't able to get his spells off in these fights, something whenever you see this line into Puck Pick happen is Michael is going to need to be fearless. He's going to need to play like Moon Meander did in their first game, or I think it was their third game actually, versus 4 Zoomers, where you are going to be blinking into Ravage, into heroes that should be able to kill you. And if Undying's response is too good, again, it feels like it's so difficult for Infamous to really ever approach the Undying lineup, and if they're able to get a little bit too much net worth on their heroes, it really is going to feel like this game is incredibly hard.
This is just
maybe 3-man Earth Spike?
Straight up bold play in. Michael gets clipped by the LSA. Tomato's just going to charge in here, but he's dropping a little low himself, and actually he's going to die first. Okay. Yeah. That's awkward. Bryle's actually not even going to get the kill onto Michael. They turn around for the Earth Spike. A's going to actually not grab the bounty. Never mind. Bryle does get it, but Undying, that felt maybe a little too aggressive, maybe overconfident in that situation as they just push straight up. And yeah, Moon is potentially dead here. Bloodright drops him low, and Mariano brings him down. But not quite. That's awful. That was just so bad for Undying. They just charged their way up onto the high ground, and it goes pretty horribly. And if you're Tomato, I mean, I admire the ambition, but you're leading the charge there.
They're still up here.
You're not that tanky. Yeah, they're going in onto him. Earth Spike will be connecting. The homing missile comes in as well. The poison attacks are coming in. And Tomato, he's dead too.
He immediately bought out a smoke before he died in a stick. He used his gold efficiently, but yeah, he is going to make the long walk back to hell. I don't think they realized what was really going on here, and if this ends up being a 1v1 where it's Parker versus Saberlight, Saberlight should be able to get the upper hand there, but
Earth Spike comes through, poison attacks on him. This is just incredible. Hit Bryle up with a homing missile there as well, so he's not going to be able to mount any sort of immediate response. And at this point, it feels like the only constraint from this tri-lane is actually just their mana counts. They're just able to go in and lay down those stuns over and over and over again. Undying just weren't ready for this kind of aggression. They've given up 4 kills in about 90 seconds.
Well, and we said we needed something exceptional, right? So getting your lanes off to such a good start like this, we even see A just kind of making the big rotation, might even just be a bully and force Bryle. If he knows that there isn't a phase shift on the Puck, this actually could somehow work. I mean, if Bryle is caught on the low ground, he can get stapled to that cliff, but this is just, again, sort of a harassing, annoying play, and if this is what Infamous need to do, this is going to be perfect. If they can be super annoying, get these kind of kills with their aggressive plays while they still can, this is going to be perfect. But they need to play a flawless game. If they ever sort of make those little hiccups, we sort of talked about it yesterday in the Four Zoomers versus Undying game, where Infamous, they need to win so many fights, where Undying, they win 1 or 2 engagements, that is going to set them up for really long stretches of time here. So they need to be so flawless with their execution, and, well, it's still working.
Flawless so far. They're in on a Dubu. They're able to bring him down. Not quite yet, but yeah, Dubu's dead. DOT will finish him off. Tomato, he's still level 1 on this Spectre. There is actually nothing he can do to help, so Infamous are looking pretty damn good, but as you said, this is always going to be sort of the caveat for them. They're playing so well right now, but they have to keep going. This is not a scenario where you build up a lead and then coast. You are going to have to keep that pressure on pretty much constantly, because the second you let up, Tomato, he gets the levels, he goes into the jungle, he's sort of clear of that immediate danger, he's going to start catching back up. So they need to keep on making plays like this one. Moon Meander hit up by the Earth Spike. They're going to get the homing missile down onto him as well, and with the rocket barrage in there, Moon should be going down. Michael gets the kill, and this tri-lane's just playing out of their minds right now. Tomato, at this point, I don't know. I mean, do you consider taking drastic action? Do they swap the lane? Because he's getting basically nothing here.
Mariana's also just like, oh, dude, he is... They're pissed off.
He's got 9
after
denies.
that first game. Yeah, he is just balling out of control. You even see him saving a skill point up. He's not even casting the Nether Toxin because he wants to keep this wave as far out of Tomato's hands as possible. I think 2 of the last hits that the Spectre does have are from the small camp. And maybe, yeah, they're pinging Mariano a little bit, but again, everybody is level 1, level 2. They're peaking up their level 3s here on a lot of their heroes, and now A feels like he's comfortable enough to leave them be. He has boots of not boots of travel, but just boots in general. So he's just going to ping pong between all 3 of the lanes, placing wards, giving regen. He's going to be sort of the living donkey on this gyrocopter, and again, this is such a fantastic start. This is such a great way for Infamous to really get this game off going. For really what happened in that in the first game, it felt like that was not the way they wanted to go. It felt like it was a little bit frustrating, but again, they've got to keep the aggression up. I think Michael's fine here, but it's pretty annoying. They're getting forced back just a little bit.
Maybe if that LSA hits, they go in for it, but the wand charges sort of healed him up enough, but this is the thing about A sort of rotating out of this lane. The aggression is now probably going to come to an end, and Dubu and Moon, yeah, they still want in. Mariano's going to get hit up there by the cold feet, but Michael, again, making the plays on the line. We said that he was going to be such a big part of this. We were sort of maybe looking a little bit further down the timeline than the first 5 minutes, but those are the plays that the Lion sort of makes available to you. That should have been a play where Mariano really would have been in danger. Instead, it's just kind of casual. He's able to fall back, heal up, he's going to be just fine, and Moon Meander and Dubu really can't sort of make that play happen. So the Lion going to be sort of instrumental to them really at all points of the game at this stage, as A has actually returned to the top lane here. They might look to push in. Dubu's going to get hit up by the missile, but I don't know if Mariano's actually fast enough. He still doesn't have his boots. So yeah, Dubu falls back in time. He'll be just fine. Meanwhile, Moon Meander is going after the sort of creep pull here. This is... timing's a little awkward, but he's actually still going to get it. He killed off the largest creep in that camp first, but it will technically still work, but they're not going to be actually pulled back for all that long.
Yeah, and it is a little bit awkward. I hope that that expedition A ended up making felt pretty impactful. I think he was able to nab this bounty rune, so sort of retroactively forcing Brow out of the wave. But now, as soon as the gyrocopter's back up here, both Moon and Dubu need to sit so much further back. You see they're just playing underneath their tower. And this is the worst case scenario for Tomato, where you are splitting your XP 3 different ways. You're not able to get kills. You were able to get aggressive a little bit there while the Gyro was doing his own thing, and you spend a lot of mana. And actually, yeah, KXY just rotates bottom. Very simply gets the kill. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, as you said, I mean, just a straight up rotation from KXY. There's really no one there to help him, and the Tide, he's tanky, but if you get caught out in that sort of arena into the spear stun, then this early on he's not really going to be able to survive it. So that is a 7th straight kill here for Infamous, and you were sort of mentioning it earlier on, and I feel like it's just true. Infamous are playing pissed off right now. They are very unhappy with the way that they performed in game 1 and looking to make up for it as quickly as possible here in the second game, and Undying are just getting sort of ambushed right now, as Dubu is going to be dying to the DOT up top. A gets hit by the cold feet proc, but that's really not going to matter. Mariano's got the damage to get it done, and that's 8 straight now, as Infamous are really just continuing to try and harass Tomato as much as possible in this top lane. He's got, I think, a level and a half maybe on the Spectre right now for that Viper, so he's going to be hitting that Viper strike pretty quickly, and at that point, Tomato's going to have to be even more careful in this lane.
And not even just be more careful, he's just going to have to go. If he doesn't have those heavy set rotations, I don't think it's going to matter. And they are doing a good job bringing Bryle up here, but they've got the ward to scout it out. If Bryle falls, this is disaster. They need everyone here on Undying.
Though will be deployed. They're in on Mariano. They get the cold feet proc onto him as well, so they do find that kill. Now they're looking for more. Trying to track down Bryle. They even threw the spear out there from KXY, but not able to connect. But now the arena comes through. KXY knows what he wants. He's trying to get in onto Tomato and Bryle. He will be able to take down both. And at this point, I mean, Undying, maybe the supports can take KXY down here, but oh man, he's able to fight his way out with the spear, but the cold feet will stun him up. Michael, though, again, in with the stun into the Hex. Dooku's locked down.
He's got to get the chilly hands off. You're kidding.
He doesn't get it, and Michael's going to be able to take him down. KXY goes in for the spear.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we've seen Infamous play fast. We've seen them so aggressive in the early stages. This is like taking the training weights off. I mean, they're just going full steam ahead, and Undying, outside of maybe the couple of kills they found there, don't have any answers.
And while you do get that first initial kill on the Mariano, you're splitting the kill 4 different ways. Tomato is getting nothing out of these rotations, nothing out of these kills. And while you did end up getting another hero, well, Tomato, he's going to walk up into A.
Oh boy. Rocket Barrage is there.
There's no way A can just solo kill him, but...
Is there anyone coming? Moonbander's here to defend, but KXY wants in. Spear comes out. It hits onto the... Doesn't matter. Hits onto the Lina, but there's going to be Michael again, making those plays. Saberlight, though, responding with the Ravage. Going to be able to lock it down. Both of the supports now dead on the side of Infamous, and KXY should be finished off here as well. So, signs of life from the side of Undying, but they had to lose Tomato there. That's going to cut into his farming time in that jungle, leave him even further behind. Tomato drops the XD into the chat afterwards.
Thanks feels like can Moon get the deny?
Feels like a bit
should
of a
be able to.
sarcastic XD, but yeah, Moonbander will deny the tower. Now he's got to get away from Mariano, but the LSA, that's going to keep him just fine. But this top lane is absolutely shredded. There is really nothing that Undying are going to be able to get out of this lane for any of their core heroes. It's just not going to be safe. They've got to take the Spectre and rotate away.
And again, 4 heroes use Ravage, you split all of those kills. Spectre's already dead. Tomato's getting none of these levels, none of this farm. He has an Echo Saber queued up right now. I don't know if he's going to change it up. He does have sort of the casual Sobi mask right now, but now Parker's going to start getting involved. And this is where the lineup is really going to start aggressing further and further on the Infamous side. And if they can start turning more of these kills into objectives, that's where the map is going to get more and more cramped. Fortunately, Tomato does have a little bit of alone time right now. He's going to be able to get a little bit done, but they glyph up the creep wave. They're just going to push into your tier 1 tower, and how you sort of take this on the Undying side, it is going to be sort of difficult for Infamous to push in this early on, just because you do have that spam coming out from the puck, and you do always need to be cautious of that coil. But already have a Maelstrom on Parker. You're farming up incredibly easily and incredibly quickly on this Bloodseeker. And if he can continue to keep this pace, he's going to maintain a hefty lead on Tomato.
Yeah, already going into the jungle, looking to take some of these stacked camps with that Maelstrom. So he's just really sort of getting himself going. There's been no pressure applied to him really whatsoever. And
ooh, Mariano.
They're gonna try for it. They got the June Coil down. There's the Ice Blast to follow. That's a good kill for them, taking that Viper out of the equation. And now, okay, never mind. Moon is sort of eyeing up KXY here in the top lane, but that's not a kill that Lina can get. Even if she had the Laguna Blade, it would be iffy, and he doesn't actually have it at the moment. So KXY is able to walk away, but that Mariano kill is worth quite a bit. 336 to Undying for that one. Again, though, it split quite a few ways. So the Spectre did haunt in for that one, so that is going to be on cooldown for quite some time. But if you're Tomato, you just need anything you can get. It really doesn't matter how much you have to sort of scrape together to try and get this money. He needs anything. So the fact that they're able to get him any gold at all is going to be pretty beneficial. He's now alone in the bottom lane, just farming up, and Infamous, as of right now, not really looking his way. So this is a big opportunity for the Spectre, but Infamous are trying to make plays elsewhere. They've got 3 heroes smoked up, 2 supports going along with KXY. They're going to try to make their way down there, looking for that... I was going to say the Spectre play, but actually they're maybe wrapping around a little bit here. No, they do want into the bottom lane after all.
Yeah, they know he's alone now. I don't think they're going to catch him in time, though. They're going to split off. Okay, the smoke is going to whiff, but Again, not worst case scenario. I think worst case scenario is actually you break on Saberlight there, and then he has a Hood of Defiance, so he doesn't really care about what you're doing. They're kind of rubbernecking a little bit here. They're sort of walking around, not doing anything. And that's where we are seeing the gap form a little bit. Even though all these kills are happening, the gold lead has never been further than 1k in either direction, just because Saberlight and Brile, they are still farming up. They are still getting a lot out of the map. Really, the big winner is Parker and what Parker is going to be able to accomplish. But bottom, Tomato has been caught here.
Can they lock him down?
But I think they staggered the TPs wrong. Oh, there's the
okay.
Rupture.
Rupture comes through. Tomato should still be dying here, as he will be taken down.
Moon?
And now Moon, hit up by the Earth Spike. Can he get himself out of the Blood Right? Yes, he can, but Finger of Death will be deployed. Moon in some trouble, turning around, trying to drop that Laguna Blade, hoping he was going to be able to get the kill onto A, but it's not going to happen. So
And now
Moon
mid,
goes
they
down,
keep playing.
Tomato dead as well, and over in the middle lane, they are looking to go on to Mariano, so maybe they can sort of salvage something here, as Mariano should be dying. Saberlight finds the kill, but yeah, KXY's in, drops the arena, spear stun. Really not even going to be necessary. Dubu will be taken down, and now they're in onto Saberlight, who has very little HP. I don't think he wants to use the Ravage here, and yeah, if he doesn't, he's just going to eat the
Super clean.
Playing across really all sections of the map right now, as Infamous, yeah, they have to sacrifice Mariano. That is a bit unfortunate, but 3 kills going their way. 4 kills, actually, in total. My mistake, but that's exactly what they needed. Now they have a chance to maybe push down a tower here as well, although it's only the supports in the middle lane, so maybe they don't get this after all, especially with Dubu TPing in to defend it.
You still need to be careful of this Ice Blast. We've seen this Ice Blast really just shatter dreams. Not much they can do about it, and they didn't use the Ravage there. So if Undying do want to get aggressive on the Infamous side of the map, they don't always need to deal with the blows. They can definitely bounce back in a lot of these fights, but that's where Parker, he's just going immediately for that BKB, and we saw this Bloodseeker before. If you get this BKB, you are invincible in this game. There is nothing that any of these heroes can really do, and that's where maybe Undying, with their sort of initiation problems, they do sort of just need to run at you. They don't have a fantastic way to get into the fight until you have that Blink Dagger coming up from Saberlight, and that is in the works, but still, you have to wonder, if he gets that Blink Dagger at the same time the Bloodseeker gets his BKB, who's going to get what off first? And that's where these team fights, again, could heavily swing in Infamous's favor, especially if they're not counting for a timing like that. And it looks like A, I mean, he's got the Shadow Amulet. He's vibing.
Protection. Yeah. I mean, they think that they know he's here, and technically they're correct, but without the actual vision, this isn't going to do them much good. They're checking the tree line over and over again there with the vortexes, but he's just going to sit here. He's going to chill out. Shadow Amulet will keep him safe, but he's not going to be able to defend that tower. Tier 1 should be going down
KXY?
here.
Team with the ward.
Ryle.
Oh, no.
Dodging the spear. Where's... Okay, never mind. He doesn't want the initiation. Instead, they are going to take the tower, and now they actually spot up the gyrocopter. A kind of reveals himself there. Ice Blast comes through for him, and the gyro should be falling, as Brile is going to be able to get the kill, but to be honest, you lose A instead of any sort of play onto KXY. I think you're okay with that trade-off, but the loss of the tower is going to hit them a little bit hard. But all the while, I mean, Parker's still farming. BKB is just about done here. He's only about 500 or 600 gold away from it. So if you can get these items up, I think you're okay with sacrificing a hero or two and maybe a tier 1 tower. So they're just looking for that item timing. Once they get it, we should see the renewal of that aggression for them.
Oh, and Michael fingered Moon mid, but wasn't able to get the kill, unfortunately. And now they're bringing the play into Mariano again, and I think he's just going to get coiled.
Haunt in, coil down, Ice Blast in, and Mariano, I mean, Hood of Defiance absorbs a little bit of that damage, but that's just too much. He's going to be taken down. Tomato now TPs himself back to the base before there's a response, but Parker wants in.
Oh, Brile!
Oh, Brile!
He didn't know.
Oh, no.
And Dubu, next on the chopping block.
Yeah, that's an easy one for Parker. Picks up the double. Yeah, Brile just didn't realize it.
I don't think Brile
walking.
knew, right? He didn't know that after the jaunt he'd take 400 damage. There's no way he could have done that on purpose.
That's rough. It's a nice play onto Mariano for them, but it's immediately sort of counteracted by the loss of Brile and Dubu there. So Undying, I don't know, to a certain extent, it's good to see that they're capable of making these sort of pick plays and getting that combo down of that sort of Ice Blast Dream Coil play, but they need to be able to get away with these clean, otherwise it's going to look pretty rough for them. And now Tomato, got to get out of here. He's going to get himself
barely
out of there just in time. So Tomato is going to be able to sort of slink away. Still trying to farm up here. Echo Saber was finished off a little while back. He's looking for the Diffusal next, into the BKB after that, but that's going to require a decent amount of time here. So if you're Undying, keep on looking for those pick plays, keep on using that Ice Blast to your advantage, but try to avoid, I would say at this point, the sort of major engagements. Tomato can haunt in when it's available, but outside of that, he's not really going to want to be involved.
And it does make you think, why Echo Saber over, let's say, the tried and true Blade Mail? Does this really help him farm that much faster? It does give him more mana regen, so maybe we'll see him sort of spam out those daggers just a little bit more, but it does have some questions sparking in my own head. But still, they are just playing the waiting game, where the longer this game goes, the more time he has to recover. They can continue to find these plays onto Mariano. That is the one target they've been consistently able to punish. And with this BKB on Parker, I really don't feel like he can die, but if he does ever die, if he ever gets caught out when he doesn't get the BKB off, maybe he doesn't use it for an LSA immediately into that Ice Blast. If he ever dies, I think this game is going to shift completely in Undying's favor. So I think really a lot of the pressure falls on him to play perfectly, know exactly when he needs to expend these BKB charges. And KXY, okay, he's popping the smoke. Forward. We're going to take a Dubu.
Dubu gets the point blank Ice Blast. Meanwhile,
double Earth Spike.
Michael, as they're able to take him
double
down.
TP.
Yeah, they're just going to get out now. But the
Bryle.
spear, can he somehow get himself away? He's going to look for the jaunt, but he's going to be jaunting directly into.
He can't do it.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's actually going to cancel it, but that means, yeah, you basically got to choose how you wanted to die there, as Bryle had no way out on either end of that orb. So, now Michael dies, but you get to, again, the trades just sort of keep on coming in for them, and Bryle, I don't really know here. Maybe if he has that Blink Dagger, he can sort of make some sort of play the next time around, but still several hundred gold away from it, and feels like Infamous are going to try and take advantage of this. They've got the creep wave coming in through the top wave, or top lane rather, so they can secure this tier 2.
Yeah, and I really don't think they're going to want to post up a defense. Not having that coil, they don't have that setup before that Ravage does come through, and if they really gave them an opening there, I think Undying maybe would have taken it, but still, you have Moonmander. He was just able to finish off his Yule Scepter. Again, he's prioritizing himself and his farm a lot. He's been able to push in this bottom wave, and instead of killing him, Infamous have been killing your other heroes. And again, that's where we see Parker just take a huge lead over everyone else in the game. But this is where, if KXY does fall a little bit too far behind, he only has one death, but he hasn't been able to really get too many of those impactful arenas off. And I think, yeah, A's just going to get picked off underneath the ward. He's just trying to do his job.
Honestly, his death isn't really going to hurt his team too much. When the wards get taken away, but your Gyro's not going to be worth a crazy amount of money right now. So it's a good play for Undying, but really not too much of a setback for the Infamous side, as they are, as of right now, kind of grouped up in the middle lane. KXY does still have that Blink Dagger. That's something Undying are going to have to show a bit of respect to here with that initiation range, as inching their way forward. They're looking for Dubu here, but this could be a trap. Saberlight in, gonna drop down the Ravage into the Haunt. They're immediately in onto Michael, able to lock him down. Now the Bloodseeker has to pop that BKB defensively. His teammate, meanwhile, was able to make his escape. KXY is gonna get away, but they're chasing after him. There's gonna be the defensive arena, but the Yule Scepter will lock him down into the Ice Blast as well as the Laguna. And KXY will fall. So they get 2. They force the BKB out from Parker to almost no effect, and they take the fight.
And this is where you sort of post up. I'm surprised they made a rotation like that, not checking for the ward. He immediately put the sentry up there as if they knew what was going to happen, and Saberlight pulls the trigger. He gets 3 in that Ravage. He immediately takes the line out of the game, and that's where Michael, talking about the line needing to be fearless, needing to be in those tight engagements. If he falls first, Bryle has no fear. There is no one in the game to lock him down. That's the issue of this puck opener, and everything is on Michael's shoulders. And you see he's trying to make these plays onto Bryle, but now he has a Blink Dagger on the puck as well, so he's always going to be able to get deep in there. So you have to be so careful with how you take the rest of these team fights. They do have pretty long cooldowns, so now Undying, at least on paper, shouldn't be able to fight, but if Bryle dodges this one out, they need to place the ward first, but Michael whiffs again.
Jumping.
And they're all going to walk away.
Free and clear on the puck. That was a 4-man smoke, I believe, for the side of Infamous. That isn't really going to pan out for them, but they're still into the jungle. They're taking this Ancient Stack away from Tomato, so that's still going to be a bit of a benefit for them. But I don't know. At this point, it feels like Infamous really do sort of have to keep their foot on the gas here. We talked about that repeatedly. Could not afford to let that aggression sort of peter out as KXY able to get down onto Moonmander. It looked like maybe Delina could have pulled that play off. Went for the Yules into the TP, but timing isn't quite right. KXY will be able to find the kill, but if you're Moon, We saw a little bit of this from him yesterday. He's just willing to make those plays, push out the lane, force someone to come get him, and try to create opportunities for his teammates elsewhere on the map.
And he has been able to accumulate a lot of farm, but yeah, Michael, mid, it's just too simple. It's just too easy for them. If he continues to play underneath their wards and Undying keep this control, it does feel like it's a little bit too hard for them. Fortunately, they do have Viper versus the Roche, so there's not going to be bashes. They aren't going to be slams, but AA,
wait,
he's about 10 mana off.
Oh,
actually,
he threw in the vortex. That takes him out of that range.
This is still really scary.
Ryle didn't have the Dream Coil for a little bit, so he's not able to lock them down, but they do push him out of the pit. But Tomato,
Spectre, yeah, he's going to be able to hit it. They need to keep set up here.
He's so
but they're not
right
mobile.
Now.
They need to run in on the Bloodseeker right now, or oh no.
Throw the Toxin in. I don't know. They need to do something, but they do get the Rupture
Brow's
down
making
onto
space.
Ryle.
I don't think he cares.
Tomato got the, oh god, he got the Aegis, but now Saberlight's in there. They're going to drop down the Ravage. Parker's going to pop the BKB, but it's not enough.
Oh no.
He's still dead, and now here comes Tomato, going to be haunting his way forward. Didn't really pick a target initially, but now they're in onto A. They're going to be able to lock him down, and they've got Michael as well. He's just not able to get there in time. What is happening to Infamous right now? They're just getting outplayed.
And they just get picked apart at every single really engagement there. He isn't getting the BKB off before that stun lands out on him. They aren't able to even find the kill on the Bryle. And Bryle, I'm sure, would have been fine with the death there. He was able to get the Aegis onto Tomato for free. They just completely lost focus there. Mariano wasn't even in a position to really stand in front for any of his teammates. Neither was KXY. It felt like they instigated that Roche and then got so scared of finishing it, they just kind of threw away the fight. And that was a fight where, of course, you have your ultimates, you have the Haunt, you have the Ravage, but they were still maybe 15, 20 seconds off. I really think if they forced it, they still would have gotten punished, but this is a much worse situation. You lose your carry, you give the Aegis over to the Spectre, you don't even get anything in return. That is just nightmare fuel for Infamous.
And you look at that Spectre now, Tomato's moved into 3rd place in the net worth, so he was off to a bit of a slow start in the lanes. That slow start is really in the rear view mirror now. He's right up there with pretty much everyone other than the Bloodseeker, so it's going to be tough for them to sort of keep him contained, especially with the Aegis now in his hands. As you said, is A. Going to get picked off in the middle lane. Dream Coil comes out as well. Ice Blast will not connect, actually. KXY was able to step back in time, but if you're Infamous, you really cannot afford to chase this. Parker is coming in here, so maybe now they can give it a go as they will drop the Rupture down onto that Spectre, but he's got the Aegis, so even if they do take him down, he's going to be back up into the fight. Tomato's just going to hold his ground. Moon Meander, meanwhile, going in for the stun, and Parker, at this point, with his BKB wearing off, has to fall back, but that means they leave Moon Meander, or excuse me, not Moon Meander, Mariano behind, as he is stuck in the middle of this engagement. He'll be taken down, and now KXY going to get hit by the Yules into the LSA. No BKB for him, so he's just going to get stuck here, and Undying should be able to eventually bring him down. They just bring in those reinforcements, and these fights are just going so poorly for Infamous. We talked about Parker hyping up that BKB for him, but at this point, it's actually not enough. He needs to be able to get the damage in there to kill those heroes off quickly, and the fight's just dragging on for a bit too long, and now Saberlight.
Oh, Parker.
Gush.
Oh,
There's
no.
going to be the Ice Blast. If they hit it, he's dead.
It's perfect.
Oh. Yeah, there you go. A well-deserved tip onto Dubu there, as both Saberlight and Tomato will sort of hit him up, so that's exactly what they needed. They take Parker out, and Saberlight, he wants in again. They've caught out Michael here. Glimmercape will buy him some time. Saberlight, though, was looking for it, but the Blink is going to be able to get the Lion away. But the fact that Undying are sort of just now on the offensive looking for these aggressive maneuvers really is the clear indicator of just how much this game has shifted in their favor. Oh no.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to be up there, unfortunately, as he will be taken down. So more kills going Undying's way. They've just about evened up the kill count here, which, I mean, for this point in the game, normally doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but at one point Undying had like a third of the kill count of their opponents, something like that. So they really are just completely taking control of this game right now.
And really, maybe the biggest flaw with this Drowcopter is the added difficulty of just playing your role, playing 5, having the battle for vision. It feels like Undying have always had an idea of what you were doing, where you were going, where your key heroes are. And if they're always able to have that knowledge going into a team fight, they can kite you out. They can know whether or not this is going to be a fight they can win. And that's where he's had a fantastic start. He's got 9 kills. He's the reason that early game was going so well for them. But that gold net worth lead, it just was never shifting. They weren't able to snowball it nearly as hard enough. And once you get into the nitty gritty, once this team fight lineup starts to come online for the Undying side, again, that's the biggest issue. Infamous, they don't have a team fight lineup. They have this mid Mars where KXY has really fallen behind, and at least he has his BKB now. He's going to be able to stand up a little bit taller. Doesn't have to worry about that Ravage nearly as much. But if they whiff this sort of triple BKB timing, I don't think they can make another play until this Viper has a BKB of his own. Then we might be seeing Infamous get a little bit more aggressive. But again, I think that Undying are maybe 1 or 2 team fights before having a lead that really there's no reason for them to ever give away. And Michael, oh, you have to be so careful because, again, he's their key lockdown. He's the person that needs to start it off. If he's able to get a Hex onto Bryle, then that's the follow-up Spear. That's the follow-up Disable. That's where you get the silence out onto him. But it just hasn't been there for all of 10, 15 minutes. And Undying, they don't care about the objectives just yet. Their time is coming. They don't need to wait. And again, Mariano.
He was trying to go in onto Moonmeander. Instead, they hit him up with the Ice Blast into the Haunt, and now they've got Michael as well.
Oh, no.
Moon, come on, man. Like,
that's dirty.
It's just not fair.
Goodness.
The reaction times are insane. Michael, I mean, that's the play you want him to try to make, right? But Moon's too fast on the draw. Hits him up. The reinforcements arrive, and yeah, now the Gyro's in some trouble. Dream Coil locking him down. Glimmer, gonna buy some time, but Bryle's just directly in onto him. This really isn't a situation where A's getting out alive, as he's gonna try and buy as much time as he can, but he will still go down. Saberlight hits him up with that Anchor Smash, and I mean, Undying, they're just going to keep on going.
No.
KXY.
No. Oh,
God. He should still be dying, but the Ice Blast is going to hit onto 2, and Tomato's into the fight, so Parker, yeah, he's got to pop that BKB and try and take him home. Can they get him in time, though? They need to shatter him, but they don't quite get it, but he's still dropping.
Dead?
Oh my god, this BKB, it just feels like it doesn't even matter anymore. They're getting him through the Magic community, and Infamous are just sort of falling apart in the sort of just wake of this onslaught from Undying. Once they hit those timings, they're just all in, and it's going spectacularly for them. They take the tier 2 tower mid. The tier 2 tower top is falling now as well.
And again, KXY, he had the very simple blink spear into the side where Moonmeander, he was dead to rights. He should have died instantly. But instead, he blinks in, gets
Mariano,
a little bit nervous, and yeah, he's dead on his own high ground. They can't do this.
Yeah. I mean, falling apart was the phrase that I used before, and it just seems so apt right now. Infamous just don't really have too much of an idea of what they need to be doing right now. Or now Saberlight in with the Ravage. Michael dead, A dead, KXY dead. Arena comes out far too late. We do see a buyback coming out, though. Mariano's back into the fight. A is going to be buying back as well, but they're not in a position to follow up on that Arena. It's going to sort of wear off here, and Tomato and Bryle just actually walk away. We're back onto the tier 3 tower, and we're right back where we started, except Infamous are 3 heroes down and 2 buybacks in the hole. So they just have to let this go. They really can't mount much of a defense here.
And really, just, you should have let him walk out. You should have let him get away with murder there, but instead, you feel like you need the rebuttal, you need that playback, and okay, you got the Rupture onto Tomato. Is Parker going to be able to do anything here? He's going to kill Dubu. Doesn't heal from it at all.
Yeah, he's got to fall back, and he's losing his backup. A is taken down. So Dubu's dead. Neat. But that's a BKB charge being used. It's on cooldown for a minute, and you took down an Ancient Apparition. It's not fantastic, but if we are looking for silver linings here, melee rack still standing.
And that's something, though, that Undying, they don't care about. They have the buyback advantage now. They have the ability to sort of wait for this next Roche. And this is the situation you're in now if you're Infamous. You need to find these plays. You can't really finish off this BKB on Mariano in time. I think you need to make a smoke play and try to get up on Tomato before he's able to farm up any further. Try to strike when his BKB and Ravage are both down. But I think the confidence is sort of just shattered from Infamous. I don't think they're going to want to make any more aggressive plays. You see Tomato now sitting at 3.1k HP. He got that level 20 talent, and this is the Spectre hump where now you don't need to be afraid of really anything. With the way that Tomato's itemized as well, he is so defensive, it is aggressive, where if you aren't able to kill him with that initial burst, if you aren't able to find these plays, which they haven't been able to make because, again, the vision advantage, the orbs, the ice vortexes, they know exactly what's happening at every moment in these team fights, and then you have the better team fight lineup. It's just continuing and compounding to be more than Infamous can handle. And this is amazing. This is a fantastic play. They're going to be able to catch someone off guard, but Here we
jump in
go.
with the arena. They're going to try to get Tomato up. Can they finish him off in time? No, they can't. In fact, they're going to be the squad losing too. KXY and Michael are both dead. Parker is doing his best here, but Tomato's still not down.
That's it.
And yeah, that's got to be it. I don't think they've called it just yet, but that's 4 heroes dead. A is going to try to make a mad dash back to the base, but buyback-wise, pretty much no one has it. Michael has one, and that's actually it. So Undying are just going to push their way forward. A is going to get hit up by the silence. The homing missile is dodged by the phase shift, and A still not dead yet. Glimmercape's going to get him back into the fountain, but Bryle honestly might just dive it.
Yeah. And you've got the AN disc. It's not like there could have been an aggressive play anyway. And yeah, they're just going to call it. They know. They missed their timing. That was their one shot in the dark. There wasn't Ravage. There wasn't BKB on Tomato. I think it came up maybe 2 or 3 seconds after the fact. And really, Infamous, they had such a good early game. They had such fantastic early game plays. Maybe A's expedition around to sort of win the other lanes was a little bit weird, but at the same time, Tomato, he threw you the XD. He threw you the I'm dying, but look at my Tidehunter and look at my puck. If I'm able to farm for just another 10 minutes, good luck. See you guys then. And Infamous, they weren't able to make those plays. They weren't able to have those huge impacts. I think really KXY, Mariano, they tried their hardest. KXY and Michael specifically, though, they fell just a little bit too short. Their lineup didn't have the lockdown to deal with this puck at the end of the day. And really, Undying, it felt like they had a lineup with such low risk. While they were dying a lot, they were dying a ton. It was 22 to, I think, 9 at one point in that game, but you still struggled to find Infamous getting those objectives, getting those towers pushed down, even though those kills are leading to something. That net worth lead would not budge. As hard as they tried to snowball it, like they've snowballed so many other games in this lower playoff bracket, it wasn't enough. They weren't able to turn the tides. And Undying, incredibly low risk lineup. They just drafted better team fight. They bided their time. They sort of sat on their hands. They farmed up. And really, all of those early aggressive plays, it ended up not mattering. Undying were just able sort of to farm to victory. And really, I think the one big misplay was at that Roche pit where they gave away the bag. They got a little bit too scared of that AA blast, of that dream coil from the puck, and it sort of completely played against them. And then just having this Bloodseeker versus AA, I don't think they realized how bad that matchup was going to end up being for them. So just Undying, it feels like they didn't really do that much, but it's just a very clean win.
They were able to buy the time for Tomato. Moon Meander and Dubu especially, you don't really see it now because the kill counts, or the death counts rather, aren't all that high compared to what's on the other side, but 7 deaths for each of them. They were willing to make those plays. A lot of situations where Dubu and Moon just sort of offered themselves up knowing I die, but I'm trading for a kill. I'm buying time for someone like Tomato or Bryle to sort of pick up that next item. And Infamous, well, as you said, at a certain point, those early kills didn't matter. We mentioned it repeatedly. They needed to... excuse me. They needed to be able to keep that pressure going. It wasn't a situation where you can take an early lead and coast, and as we sort of saw with the graph, they never even really had that big of a lead. They had to go in constantly with this lineup, and at a certain point, they weren't really able to keep that aggression going, and that's where Undying really just starts swinging it their way.
Yeah, and really just Michael, all the pressure was on him. And this line versus puck matchup with the way that Undying drafted, they had everything. They always got eyes on him. Moon had some crazy Yules as well to just break the combo. I think he as soon as he got that Yules after Aether Lens, by the way, he didn't even greet out for the Yules. It just felt like this Lena was impactful. He was breaking up your combo. He was the perfect reinitiator that they sort of needed. And there's so many times where Michael blinks in, immediately gets Yules. Same with KXY. It's just their combo was just not executed well enough, and Undying for sure take the punishment.
So, Undying able to get themselves the win. That means that they grab the 2-0 sweep in this lower bracket final, and we are scheduled for a bit of a rematch. 4 Zoomers versus Undying will be our grand final matchup there in that best of 5. So, we are going to be giving Undying a little bit of time to prepare. Obviously, they just come off the back of a best of 3, so we're going to be giving them a bit of a break there. In a similar vein, we will not be conducting a post-series interview here. We're just going to give Undying the time they need to sort of rest and reset. So, no interview this time around. Apologies to those of you who may have been waiting on that one. But we are going to be hopping into that next series in a little bit. Before we go into that break, though, it is time here on the final day of the event for one more word from LootBet, sponsor of this event. So, you've heard it from me before, but one last time for old time's sake. New users can get a 100% bonus on their first deposit up to 150 euros. Use code PRO, that's PRO, on LootBet for that promotion. Meanwhile, existing users can also find more promotions when they visit LootBet as well. So LootBet, thank you for the promotion. Thank you for providing us the odds during and in between these games as well. And as always, folks, if you do use LootBet, you want to use that promotional code, please do remember to bet responsibly. So thank you again to LootBet, and we will now be moving on here. We do have a bit of a wait in between series, as we mentioned before, but it is going to be Undying taking on 4Zoomers in that best of 5 grand final in about, I believe it's about half an hour from now. So for now, we are going to be stepping away, but when we return, final series of this event, grand final, $20,000 on the line for the first place team, and obviously some bragging rights in the North and South American regions. So we're going to be bringing that one to you in just a little bit. So stick around, and we'll be moving on very shortly.